Just how often are you told to take a deep breath? It comes up pretty often, and yet we rarely breathe more than our body requires. We autonomically breathe, without conscious effort, 24 hours a day. But conscious breathing affects our systems differently. It affects the way we handle situations. It affects our immune systems. And it affects our interactions with other people. The breath is at the epicenter of almost all spiritual practices and is referred to in almost mythological terms in the sacred texts of nearly all faiths. Thinking about it in this way, one might wonder why the breath itself is not worshipped as a deity in some cultures. It is just that significant. And so that's where we will go in the next half hour or so. Think about your breath and take a deep one right now. Find a comfortable position. Put all distractions away. This time is for you.
An invitation. It is the first thing we do when we enter this world, and the last when we leave. We do it without thinking, and yet, without it, we would die within minutes. It allows us release, and it allows us to hold on. We sing, laugh, wail, or sob. In this time of COVID, where too many of our brothers and sisters in humanity are fighting for each inhale, I invite you to take a moment to honor the breath. Michael Skye, the author of Breathing, Expanding Your Power and Energy, writes, ultimately, in any moment that we are even slightly aware of the movement of breath within us, then we are more conscious as individuals and more directly involved in the integrated function of body, mind, and spirit. Conscious breathing encourages the expansion of consciousness throughout the human organism and beyond. To inhale consciously is to positively excite and expand the whole environment of which one is a part. To exhale consciously is to support the relaxation of all surrounding and connecting energies. Truly, every moment of conscious breath is an inspired co-creation with life itself. So I invite you today, just once a day, to take a moment to be aware of your breath. Revel in it. Honor the breath you take, even just for a moment each day.
I light this candle for the recognition of Memorial Day, and to all those men and women whom we've lost in service to our country. This country has its challenges, but our military families deserve our support regardless of your position on war. This candle is lit in memory of those who have served the ideals of freedom with sacrifice and distinction. Thank you for your service. This candle of prayer is lit for those family members who are praying for their loved ones currently in combat or serving in dangerous parts of the world. It is a difficult time to be without family. Their own sacrifice of their loved ones in service to our country is not forgotten. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. Our prayers are with you as well. This candle of support is lit for those living in fear, unsure what to do next or whom to listen to for accurate information. May this light find its way to you and bring you peace. I light this candle of joy for a single patient who represents so many, Michael Martin, 25 years old, who's been in ICU in Worcester, Massachusetts for nearly a month and wasn't expected to survive. He was released yesterday amid cheers from all the staff. Blessings be to him, his family, and all those who are experiencing the same. I light this final candle for all the joys and concerns which remain in our hearts, but are unspoken. All shall be well.
All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Come, soul of all things, make it mine to speak at night, to seal the sky, that Sarah's child, that there abides a peace of night, and cannot make, and can't unbind the strive to cry, the strive to feel, the pause to steal, when thunders give, don't let me die, nor let me die, before I have begun to live.
I once had a friend from seminary who told me that any time we make plans, God laughs. I think it's safe to say that any plans we've made for the year 2020 are a joke of the highest order, but still no laughing matter. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine a path in front of you. The path appears to be flat as you look ahead, wide enough for two people to walk side by side, enjoying each other's company on a beautiful day. You both anticipate a lovely experience out here in nature, and breathe. Before long, the path becomes rutted, with the sand, pine needles, and gravel giving way to larger rocks, ankle breakers really, and uneven terrain. And breathe. This is how life functions. It has never been any other way. Those who are most successful at life never count on the permanence of the present conditions. They do not attach themselves to particular outcomes. They attach themselves to the breath. The breath will see them through uncertainty. And breathe. The breath allows them to step off the rugged path and find a different way to obtain the peace we hoped for by embarking on this journey. The breath leads them to a quiet stream running along some dappled banks of lush moss. The breath has taken them from the past and future into the present. It has pulled their focus from the difficulty of the path toward gentler spaces. Allow this thought to seep into your way of thinking. Allow it to define your experiences. Remember that all secrets are located within the breath. And breathe. Look up the word kenosis. First comes up a Christian theological definition, and then second, a kenotic Christological definition, which contradicts the first one. And then you'll come to what would be, in my opinion, a more useful starting point, the Greek meaning of the word. Kenosis means to empty. In spiritual terms, it describes a process of inner allowing so profound, it asks the ego to step aside entirely and relent to the danger of becoming lost. For that's exactly what the ego feels when faced with what it fears to be its own destruction. And it feels it as dramatically as that as well, destruction. The ego is very dramatic and very convincing. This part of us, this ego, which makes hasty decisions based on emotional reactions, does not like to step aside. This part of us always thinks it's right because it has to. That is its survival mechanism, surety, immovability. And to whatever degree our ego has been harmed in the course of our lifetime determines just how confident and sure that ego must be in the correctness of its position, and at what cost. Genuine honor and dignity can never be damaged or insulted. Only our ego tells us that we must avenge the insults we've received. Actual honor never needs to lower itself in such a way. Remember that when considering your grudges. Let them go. Let them empty from within you. In Christian theology, the word kenosis refers to the belief that Jesus let his humanity step aside to allow the nature of God to fully enter. And admittedly, there are many variations to how this concept is perceived in various Christian traditions. So allow some room here for flexibility. But suffice it to say that kenosis in Christianity means the act of Christ's self-emptying so that something greater than his human self could be subsumed into him. This is an elegant thought. And there's a fair amount of spiritual logic to the metaphor as well. You'll find the thread of this idea in nearly all world scripture, which of course always gets my attention. It advises us that our first step is not about what choice or task or journey we should take next, but to simply empty ourselves in preparation for the unknown to come. It tells us to not worry just yet about what comes next. After the emptying, we'll understand it better. Because what's to come next cannot be seen unprepared. It can't be discerned through a lens of how we see and do things right now. Who we are today and recently will be gone. We can only see the light of this new part of the spectrum once we've allowed the scales to fall from our eyes. It's revealed in the process of allowing ourselves the existential risk of simply existing in a vacuum for a moment. Let go of trying to control this future. It's changing too quickly to even try. Be at peace about this. And breathe. It's a scary thing, actually, depending on how big the chip is you're carrying around on your shoulder. But just like the moment when you let a friend off your shoulders whom you've been carrying around on your back at a pool party, the lightness of your true weight is suddenly very noticeable. You will be okay, and so will your friend. The first step of all mindful thinking, practices, debates, or mitzvahs is the breath. The breath is the first of all things. It's the first hopeful step Dorothy takes onto the yellow brick road. Taking a breath before beginning something changes it from a mindless activity to a mindful one, all on its own. Even taking out the trash takes on a different character when we breathe first before doing it. Just one sizable breath, nothing more. You don't have to sit and close your eyes and start alternately squeezing your nostrils, although that is a great breathing exercise. Just keep it simple. One good breath, a medium to slow exhale, and proceed with whatever you're about to do. No one even has to realize you're doing it. The Hebrew word ruach refers to the spiritual concepts of spirit, mind, breath, and wind. It's the part of God released across the waters prior to the creation of light. The Ruach was the divine breath which formed our reality from the void. It is what entered the vacuum of kenosis. Mythologically speaking, sacred breath was the beginning of all existence. Buddhism, too, places the breath so centrally in all of its actions that it's indistinguishable from all the teachings. The breath is literally everywhere, symbiotic and ubiquitous. Focusing on the breath as an activity allows for the past and the future to fall away so that we only engage, even if temporarily, with just the present moment. That's when healing occurs in the body. Entering this parabolic arc of emotional gravity slows down the aging process. That's when the damage we do to ourselves every day begins reversing itself ever so slightly, just from the breath. So, what hints are there in this for us? How do we get some peace and quiet in our heads? It's the starting point which matters. It's how you choose to begin. Because it's often the constellation under which something is born that determines its fate most. Breathe first. Let that be what sets the tone for all else. The answers will come. The ego never notices the breath. The ego doesn't think to put up its defenses or justifications or arguments just from us breathing. Breath slips in under the radar of its warning systems. Since we breathe all day and night, the ego is largely deaf to it. Good. Use that. Don't judge your ego for existing, by the way. Just work around it. Breathe. Let it go that our egos sometimes embarrass us or make us say regretful things. Make amends when necessary, but be at peace about it. When we breathe, we systematically uncouple our fight or flight systems. As necessary as they are under the right circumstances, we don't need them all the time. And every minute you spend not pumping cortisol and adrenaline throughout your body is a minute you are actually healing it. Better than that, you are allowing it to heal itself. Our bodies are constantly working toward achieving a peaceful balance. All we have to do is stop hindering the process. So breathe. Breathing and meditation is the very first thing you should do, by the way, when coming down with something. So much of your immune system hinges on your stress levels. And there are more studies showing how mindful breathing and meditation improves the immune system than there are studies showing the effectiveness of vitamin C against a common cold. We can become our own largest obstacles when facing a crisis. Take a step to ignore the problem for a moment and empty yourself for a split second. Let the exhale represent the flooding out of all worry, concern, or shame. Purposefully let those inner rooms remain empty, but without closing the doors. You never know what inspiration will slip in just before the ego realizes what's up and the gate closes again. I'm the same way with vegetables. I have to eat them first and quickly before my brain realizes how much I don't like them. But some of that nutrition gets in there anyway. How much opportunity does the universe really need to show you what it would have you know? Even a fraction of a second might do.
Let us pray. Gracious Spirit, we give thanks for the wind of life, the breath of knowledge as it consumes us, as it fills our being. We thank you for oxygen and nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and all that is breathed in by the life of this world. We thank you for the Ruach, which formed the reality in which we live, by whatever truth exists within the mythology and metaphor. We know that we are inadequately formed to comprehend the truth of why we are here or what we are to do. But we pray that through the breath, we may glimpse a shard of the ultimate truth you hold for us. Amen.
I hope you've gained a measure of peace from this week's episode of Virtual Church. Our thoughts and prayers are with you all as we venture forward into strange and unknown futures. Anxiety is understandable, but the breath is there, and it just may hold the key to our remaining in a state of mind in which all things become possible. I would like to make special mention again on this Memorial Day weekend of our veterans lost in service to our country and the families who still love them. May they be at peace and remain in our prayers evermore. I hope you'll join us next week for a service all about our youth and the wisdom they have to teach us. This one might not be what you expect. It looks to bring out the kid in us all. In the meantime, I hope you consider subscribing to our Virtual Church YouTube channel or following us on Facebook. Until next time, be exceedingly well.